Hello, everybody. So, decided I would come on and talk to you guys for a little bit. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's, it's not an emergency and nothing like that. I just wanted to let you guys know some of the things I've been getting up to. Um, and I also kind of wanted to talk to you guys about what game we might play next. Because, like I said, once we get done with our current playthrough of Scarlet Hollow, I kind of want to go and do something else, but I don't know if I want to, because I know we started a playthrough of Tiny Bookshop, and then that ended up not working for whatever reason. And so I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, trying to decide what to do with that. And so, again, if you want to, leave me a comment, see what game you'd like me to play. I can go over the games that we have again. But again, probably won't be able to buy any new games for a while. But I am crossing my fingers. There is a game called Grave Seasons, which I believe I mentioned before, but I don't remember if I actually have or not. But anyway, there's this game called Grave Seasons, which is supposed to come out for the Switch, in August of this year. So I'm really, really hoping that I can get a hold of that game because it's like a farming simulator, but it's kind of a twist, as in you're an escape. According to what I've heard, at least, you're an escaped prisoner, and you go to this town, and you become a farmer. You basically go undercover and you're like a farmer and stuff. Well, the thing is, it has you can romance one of the villagers, you can get to make friends, you can do all that stuff. But it turns out one person in the village, and apparently it changes every time you play the game, so you'll never get unless you play multiple times to get all the people. Yeah, so one of the villagers, one of your friends, one of the people you are getting to know, is murderer. And not just murderer, but a supernatural murderer. And I do find that very interesting. And so I like that. It's kind of a unique twist on the farming sims. And I'm guessing that the farm probably will take backseat precedence to, Now, there may be some players who are just like, no, I'm just gonna farm. I'm not gonna worry about all that going on over there. You do what you gotta do, and I'm, whatever. But yes, so I'm looking forward to that game, and that's also one of the reasons why I'm looking for a job so I can start earning some money, because August is not October. And unless I want to wait until October and hope I get enough money so that I can buy this game, I am very much hoping that I can get a full-time job. And that's also one of the other things I wanted to talk to you guys about. What's weird is I feel like apologizing because I haven't, like, I know there's been weeks where I've been on here a lot, like I've been on YouTube a lot and everything. And I feel like this week I haven't been. But part of that is because I have been trying to dig in deep and look for employment. And it hasn't been easy, but then again, I really only just started it. And so, but I did discover something by accident because, like I mentioned in my last vlog, I've been having a bit of computer issues. Still not entirely sure what all is going on and why things aren't, working the exact way I want them to. But again, I'm working on it and stuff, trying to figure it out. And, like I've been on with Applicant and, been like, well, what? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And doing some research and stuff like that. And so I have been, it's been a bit frustrating. I will be honest, because I'm one of those people, I like things to go smoothly. We're all people who like things to go smoothly, but there are some people who prefer things to be a bit challenging at times, and not me. I prefer things to go smooth as possible and no obstacles and all that, and although I do realize that that's not life, but it's like when I do come up across something like that where I'm like, I don't know how to fix this, and like asking for help, I have issues with that based on how it was raised and everything like that, and how hard I found it to ask for help from my parents and people growing up and that kind of stuff. And so I just whatever. But like one of the things that I can't figure out, so you know how you'll get updates for like certain apps. And so along the bottom of my screen, I have numbers, Keynote, and Pages. I use Pages. I don't use it often enough, but I do use it occasionally, and I mainly used it to make a resume for myself, so that I can remember what jobs I've been at, where, what it precisely. Then, like I said, I don't go into a whole lot of detail on that, but at the same time, I may have to update, especially since it's called a CV now, that I'm over here in England and all that. But so I found out the other day, because, I'm still trying to, because Keith gave me the hard drive that I can put stuff in and hopefully, save some space and all that, but at the same time, so I was messing around with it the other day, and now it's messing around with my resume, when I realized that my old resume has my old American address on it. And so I was like, oh, that can't work. So I brought up, tried to click on it, and it wouldn't let me edit it. And so I was like, well, maybe I can go into Pages, and because I should have a copy of it on there. Yeah, I clicked on Pages, and it said something like, this, you know, this app will not be updated. Well, then I had noticed a while ago that Pages on my phone updated and it's got a new icon and everything, but it hasn't changed on my laptop. And so it was like, what the heck? What is going on? Why isn't it, And it said something like I had some text pop up that said basically this app will not be updated again. And so I tried to go into the App Store, which I have, to get the new Pages, and it said something that it didn't recognize the password I have. And I was like, well, that's weird. And, no idea. So, essentially, I have to go back in there and do the whole forgot password thing and blah, 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 blah. But in the meantime, it's like I've kind of decided I'm going to try to put my new CV and everything on Pages on my phone. And I figured that might work out better anyway, because in that way, I don't have to print out a bunch of pages, make sure they're stapled together and all that stuff. I can just open my phone, go to Pages, click on the CV and be like, yo, here you go. Wow. Somebody read it or whatever. And the other interesting thing is, at least on the gov.uk website, which is one of the main places I go to job hunt, they basically have said that, that it's wise to change your CV for depending on what job you're asking for. So I'm like, okay. Anyway, so we're still working that out. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with that. But yeah, so I have been job hunting a lot this week. As a matter of fact, I even went out yesterday and ended up spending some money. I'm trying to save the money that we have because we're almost to the end of April. Keith gets paid at the beginning of the month or sometimes the end of the month. And so I'm just trying to hold on until Keith gets paid, especially because I need to put in a request to refill about 3 of my 4 prescriptions and stuff, and I'm gonna need some money for that. But anyway, it's so, like, I would so much rather have my own, have my own money so that I can, like, if I want snacks, so I can go get snacks, or if I want to, like, the other day when I went out, I ended up walking down. There's a train station that's down that way. If you walk along Queen Street, you'll get to it eventually. And there's a place for people to sit down and, and stuff like that. And there's a train station right there. There's people coming in and out of there and that kind of thing. And so, but there's also a group of shops that are around. As a matter of fact, new pizza place that just opened up that I want to go and have pizza at one of these days. But anyway, so one of the little businesses they have is a bakery called Jar. And they sell like your traditional stuff. They sell like sausage rolls, sandwiches, little desserts, that kind of thing. Coffee, I'm assuming. Probably also tea, that kind of thing. And so I was walking by and I noticed they had a sign in their window said they were looking for full-time and part-time help. And so I just, on the spur of the moment, walked in, because well, here's the other weird thing. Because, like, later on when I came back, I looked on their website. There's no place to apply online. It doesn't say email your resume or your CV here. It doesn't say talk to this specific person. They've just got a sign on their glass that says seeking full-time and part-time help. Staff inquire within. So I went in to the building and like nobody greeted me. Like there was one person who was behind the counter and they were doing their thing. They were bustling around doing stuff, and I didn't want to bother them. But the other weird thing is there was a gal there, younger looking gal, who was dressed in like what looked like a uniform, like the clothes that they wear at that place. And she was talking to somebody and wandering around and showing them things. And she looked right at me, but she didn't say a word. And so I just kind of stood in there, kind of looked around, kind of saw what the place looked like and all that. And then I was like, okay, nobody's gonna, keep in mind, like sometimes I'm a lot more confident than I am, but I was just not very confident at all. So I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna, end up walking for a little bit farther and then I turned around and went home because it was getting close to lunchtime and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fix myself a sandwich or something from the fridge. Well, I was curious and I looked up, like I said, I looked up their website to see if there was another way to apply, and there isn't. Which, again, I find really weird, especially like in America. Most of the time, that kind of stuff is online. You have to go to the company's website and you have to submit your application and you have to, do all this. And, like you'll either get a call back from somebody or, like with Target when they messaged me back and was like, can you do a one-way interview where, you're asked questions and you just answered the questions and stuff. And I was just like, again, like, I don't mind that so much, but again, it's like, as somebody said, I do follow browse the website Ask a Manager, because the gal who runs that website has like books out and she's very good at, and she like people write into her like all the time and ask questions about what do I do in this work situation? Or what do I do, or how can I ask for money for my position or whatever? And it's like, and it's a great site, and there's also a chance for people who are on the site to leave to comment, which is kind of good, kind of helpful. But so I browsed that site, and like she said she said something to the point of, it's like that she doesn't necessarily like when companies do that, because it doesn't give us as the interviewee a chance to ask questions. We don't get to ask questions about the company. We don't get to ask questions about how things work. And, so as a result, as some of you may remember, when I worked at Target, my last job before I came over here, I, as a result, I didn't really know what the job entailed. And like, I remember talking to somebody, because when one of the managers called me to offer me the position, I was like, told them that I have trouble standing for long periods of time. And so she was like, oh, yeah, we'll get you to we'll have you work at the self-checkout, because I know there's a lot of moving around. But, like, I also assumed, and I probably shouldn't have assumed, I should have clarified and asked, but I also assumed I could sit for a while. And, like, the other thing is, like, and I know I mentioned this before in my video about me working at Target and me quitting there and everything, because it just got to the point where I'd had enough, And if I could figure out how I might put a little card up at the top of the screen so you guys can go to watch that if you haven't seen it, or if you don't remember, or whatever. It's been a while. And like I said, I'm very thankful I don't work for a Target anymore, and that also is make me hesitate about getting back into retail, as I mentioned this before, because I don't want to get stuck in the same thing. I want whoever I work for to take my issue seriously, especially now that I'm using a cane to walk, And it's like, it's not like I need it all the time, but it definitely does help. It definitely does help me balance and, gives a little bit of support. And if I have to stand and let people pass or whatever, I don't have to worry about losing my balance and falling over or anything like that. Not that that's a huge issue, but I'm a little bit more wobbly than I was before, so. Anywho. But yeah, if I can figure out how to add that card, I might do that. In case any of you who are new or whatever want to see that video. But yeah, so I've been job hunting a lot, and it's been kind of like it's been good to get back into it, But at the same time, there's still so much I need to do. Like I said, I need to redo my CV now, and I need to put the correct information on. Not like anything's changed, because I'm not adding the one day I worked at the shoe store, which is really a bummer because that was my shoe store for that was where I went to get the shoes that I needed, and they had in my opinion, the best, especially like Skechers and stuff. So, but now I have a Skechers that's, again, way down that street on one side of the road. So it's just a little walk that way, and, again, it's going on the list of things I'll get once I can afford them. But anyway, so in the meantime, and when I say afford, I don't mean we're not in trouble or anything like that. It's just like, as Keith told me, some expenses have gone up, and I have a feeling like rent has gone up and everything, and so it's kind of, so as he was telling me the other day, he was like, if an emergency happens, I don't know how we're going to, and it's like, I get it, I definitely understand. And so that's why I've been trying to hold on to the little bit of the money that I have left and stuff. Like I said, thankfully, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I got, I think I did in my last vlog, but, I talked to Apple, and I was able to get a refund on my, because like I said, what had happened is that somehow there was a double charge, whether that was me, whether that was somebody at Apple, like at this point, I don't really care as long as it doesn't keep happening. But, in the meantime, I was like, okay, But yeah, so basically, I got double charged for my monthly subscription for my iCloud. And because of that, but like I said, the people I talked to were amazing. They were very helpful. And like I remember, the only bad thing is that when I was talking to one of the people who were helping me, and they were walking me through how to do a refund on the site and everything, I was like going through that, and he said, now it may take up to 30 days for you to get the refund, but they should, so, but it was like the next day after that I got an email from Apple saying, there has been a request for a refund. And then a few hours later, we have decided, you will get your money back. And then the other really cool thing is only took a couple of days after that, and I just, for some reason, was like, oh, I'm going to check my bank account. Because I'm one of those people that I always, double, triple check sometimes. I'm count out, I always count out how many pills I have left and, see if I have enough. And, when I need to do the refill request and everything. And sometimes I triple check that. I don't know if it's just like paranoid or if I'm worried that I'll forget but either way, it's good to be thorough sometimes, as long as you're not crazy about it. Or not crazy, but, as long as you're not, I must do everything, you know. Anyway, let's go on. I don't want to seem like I'm making fun of people with mental health issues and OCD and all that, because that's a real thing, and I do not want people to think that I don't like people who have that or whatever, that I don't understand. It's like I don't understand completely and totally, but it's like I do sympathize, and I do, like if someone I know has that, then I'm like, okay, how can I help you, in our relationship and all that? Because sometimes that, bleeds over or whatever. Anyways, so I feel like I'm rambling, but that's okay. You guys are used to that. You're used, I think, more often than not, my videos end up with me just rambling and just going on about various topics and all that. But anyway, so it was really nice because I decided I'm going to check my bank account and noticed that I had money in my account, and that was part of the problem, because then I think I was home by myself, or I was home by myself the next day, and so that was this day I decided to go out and walk and see if there were signs in the windows of businesses or anything like that. And even just get outside for a little while, that kind of thing. And yeah, I ended up going across the street. Now, I didn't buy very much. I only bought like £6 worth of stuff, and then two of the things were practical stuff that I needed. So I don't feel bad about that, but at the same time, it's like I'm trying very, very hard for the last remaining week or so of April to not spend money. Again, so wish me luck, because, like I said, it can be kind of hard, especially when I go out to walk, because I mentioned there's a lot of shops around. And I love that, because at place you can go and you can browse and stuff, but at the same time, it can be a bit of a I want to spend money, but I can't, or I shouldn't. Maybe it's not that I can't, it's that I shouldn't spend money. But yeah, so anywho. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to lately. I've been, also been trying to clean around here, just keep the place tidy, that kind of thing, Tonight is Friday, so Keith will probably bring home dinner in a couple hours, and then I'm assuming we're going back to Ash and Nikki's for D&D tomorrow, but I don't know 100% because they were sick. they all were sick or going to be sick last week, so we ended up not meeting, and so I haven't heard either way, but I'm hoping that we can, that we'll be able to meet all together, this week and this tomorrow for D&D and having fun and all that stuff, and so, yeah, but that's the other reason why I decided on the vlog today, because I figured, well, it's already 1:24, and I kind of have, I'm kind of like at the point where, like, it doesn't take long, usually, fingers crossed, it doesn't take long to edit or do any editing on the video and upload it and all that stuff, but sometimes I just does, and like I said, recently I've been running into a few issues here and there. Nothing unsolvable, but thankfully, but at the same time it's been kind of like not unsolvable, but definitely a bit frustrating. Especially when you're just like, I just want the thing I'm trying to upload and it's not working and all that. So anyway, I also wanted to say thank you guys for putting up with me and for for listening to me ramble and listening to me go on. But oh yeah, before I forget, so we have, so for games, we have Strange Horticulture, which I have started a playthrough of, which we could keep going with that if you guys want to. We could start back up with Tiny Bookshop. It's probably have to be a completely new playthrough. Which again, I don't have a problem with. You guys don't have a problem with. Let's see what else. We have Gone Home, which we have played through on the channel before. We have the Aurora, which I can't remember if I've uploaded anything about it or not. I think I tried doing a playthrough and it just, in my opinion, it's just not that fun of a game. But they have updated it recently and they have come out with apparently game 2, which is like part 2, but it costs money yet to buy the second part, and so I'm not entirely sure how that works, but like I say, it'll go on the list for when I can, start making a bit of my own money. Let's see what else. So we can keep going with Tiny Bookshop. We can keep going with Strange Horticulture. I do have Strange Antiquities on the Switch. Again, I'm still not 100% sure how to show you guys that game. But I have played it. I also have a vampire game called Cabernet, which might be kind of fun to play. Also on the Switch. And I also have Sky on the Switch, and I have Sky on my mobile game, my phone. I also don't know if you guys would be would be interested in. Like I have Love and Pies, which is kind of a matching game, Pokemon Go, and Merge Mansion, which is probably my oldest game. Actually, I take that back. Sky is probably my oldest game, and then Merge Mansion quickly follows that. But if I can figure out how to record and upload footage from my phone to YouTube, we could do that. So if you guys would be interested in something like that, something that's a bit more light, less plot heavy kind of games. Although I don't know, some of these games, like with Merge Mansion, it's like the plot is over here, and now it's over here, and now we're doing this. It's like, make up your mind, what are you doing? What's going on? Like I said, I also have Eve on my Switch, which is a very old game that they recently, a few years ago, did upgrade on. So that could be another good game. Again, I have to figure out how to connect my Switch to my laptop so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And then we got Oxenfree, which is kind of an interesting game. Might have to start over with that game. I have a current playthrough. Basically it's a time loopy kind of type game where when you restart the game, you're basically restarting the loop and starting over again from the beginning and stuff. So that might be kind of interesting. I'm trying to think of what else. And then of course we have Stardew Valley, we have Roots Paco. I haven't played that game in a really long time, and they have upgraded that one recently. We could continue with Chef RPG. Yeah, so if you guys have opinions, leave them in the comments, and we'll see what we want to do next. But we will finish our current playthrough of almost said Stardew Valley, Scarlet Hollow, since we are in episode 3 right now. And if you guys remember, we just spent some time with Avery at their little garden that they've been working on. And we've invited them to come with us ghost hunting. And so that will be interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to playing that part, the ghost hunt part, because now that we played Chapter 5, and we kind of know what happened with Wayne, what happened with, that Wayne, that the entity is in Wayne and all that, I'm kind of thinking that, the ghost hunt this time around will be very interesting. And I'll probably be not pausing it, but, interjecting some of my thoughts. So, again, like I said, probably won't upload again any gameplay until next week. So expect Monday, but maybe not Monday. Maybe something like Tuesday or Wednesday. So keep if you guys wouldn't mind being flexible on that, you guys are great. But yeah, just be flexible on that and be patient with me. Life is lifing right now, and I'm just trying to figure things out and be like, okay, let's try this. Okay, this works, let's give up. If that doesn't work, let's kind of thing. And so, but yeah, I'm still enjoying life. I'm so happy I'm over here and so happy that I'm where I am and everything. And so, yeah. So, and again, you know, leave a comment if there's a particular game you want me to play, even if it's a game I don't have yet. Leave it in the comment, and I'll see. Maybe I can get it. Especially if it's a free game. If I can get it for free, like on Steam or whatever, drop it in the comments because I'm always looking for new games to play and all that stuff. But yeah, so in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Um, Hang in there, try to get out and enjoy life as best you can. And, yeah, thanks, guys.